South Dakota, and a reservation we call the Pine Ridge Reservation. But a group of, they call them a Tioshpai, that's a family. And my grandpa is a Chief American Horse, and he has a group that I belong to. So we moved in different districts. They put us different districts by the government because the government is kind of afraid that if we bunched up together, that we might attack again or something like that to my old people. So I grew up. I grew up here, and I went to school here with a daycare, but at that time I think they call them, I don't know what they call them, but the first grade. I started first grade. And then from there on, I've learned how to talk English, and I've learned how to, like carpenter work, like making chicken coops and stuff like that. And at that time, we have a lot of horses to mess around with. So there we learn how to make halters and different things, you know. And all these that we have done, never one time we were taught about our own history. And that's the part that I don't know why they did that at that time. So I just went on ahead and studied what the histories of other country. And just like mine, well, I was studying about Dutch, you know, Dutch and the Viking, Viaducts and stuff like that, which I don't even understand what it is, you know. But anyway, I went along. So maybe that's part of the English or whatever. So I went along with that. And then from there, we learned how to play basketball, baseball, and but English was really hard for us to learn. The reason is we don't see Caucasians very often. And very often, but so whenever we see a Caucasian, we call them white men, we get scared because they have beards all over their face, you know. And so my mother, if we get kind of naughty, you know, they always say, "I'm gonna call a white man and he'll eat you up," you know. Oh my God, that's made it worse, you know. We don't want to even touch them. So that's how frightened we were towards them. So knowing their language it doesn't interest me anyway, myself. And the other ones, but they're about the same thing, you know, because whenever any one of us talk English, right away we start laughing at that person and talking English. Say, "Hey, look at him, there's a white man now," even though he's an Indian boy, you know. So it's kind of hard to catch on to that, and why do we have to talk the white man way? And so I grew up like that, and my area is where all Lakotas, all Indian Lakotas, except the teachers, they are the ones, are the Anglos that we have. But they were very nice, and they helped us understand of things, that future coming of what's going to happen. So after I graduated 8th grade here, then I was sent to, they call it the boarding school, where you stay. It's a boarding school. All these 12 districts have their children sent there in one center, one area where we all meet, and we go to school from there from 9th grade to 12th grade. We go to school there. So a lot of these other ones that came there, they're kind of strange to us. And out of that, there's one bunch there. They were there already, and they're supposed to be Indians, but they can't talk our language. All they know is English. And come to find out, they were mixed blood, we call them, because they're part Caucasian and part French. Their grandpa is from France, so that's where uh, their father come. Because everything, the father blood is belong to the kid, just like an Indian, Indian marry a French woman, then that French woman has no kind of a blood whatever inside of that child when he was born, even though he's mixed. It's got to be the father's blood. That's what it is. So we've seen these kids, but they don't talk, they all talk English. And they're all more of a feisty people, these kids are. And here, going to school in our own, we never had any kind of a quarrel. We never had any fights or anything like that. And so really, we fight Indian style if we do. That means we'll pick up rocks, stick, anything, and we'll use it on that person. And when we went to boarding school, and these mixed blood fought, and they fight with fists, they fist each other fighting, And so we see that. And then they fight us. So, but we've learned how they fight. So we started learning how to fight that way. There's, I don't know who, the Frenchman way or whatever. And so that's how we start learning how to fight with fists. And then we learn the profanity language from them. And so our parents, they had a complaint about that. They say, if we send you to school over there, then we're going to lose our way of raising our children, of discipline. But the government at that time he was a full-fledged person that always watching us, what we are doing. And so that's why, if they don't, then they'll put my parents in jail if I don't go to school over there. So they kind of took that away from them. So the discipline that they have and this discipline that we've learned is when we came back and we were different. And they don't like it. They don't like it, say we weren't treated right or to learn something, because we have to put up with these other mixed bloods. And so I went to school there, but at that time, when the BIA was here among us, and police force and school and everything, BIA, and even our own ceremony of praying is whenever we have a sweat lodge is a little building, kind of look like a Eskimo, what do you call it? It looks like that anyway. So they cover that up with blankets and everything, and then they put rocks in the middle. And then the rocks that are burnt, they put them into like a little furnace, and it's really hot. The rocks are hot. They put it in there, and it's like a sauna. So when they're going to do that, then maybe 2 or 3 of us boys, one is a doorman, and one is standing up the hill, and another one stand a little further down. Each one watch out for cars, the BIA cars. So whenever a car shows up at evening, the lights on, he hollers down and to the doorman, and the doorman tells the people that are praying inside. And then right away they open everything up and fold blankets, everything, and they sit around in a circle, and just sit there talking, and the car pulls up. Sure enough, it's a BIA. So they just tell them that they're down there doing, So either my grandma or my mother, they talk to them, and they leave. So we watch them until they disappeared completely, and then we call back again, and then they put this little thing up again, and they start praying again inside. And so that's what I don't even know why we are doing this. Because whenever we ask anything about ceremony, my dad always say, he never tells me what it is, but he says, listen to people talk, and then you will learn what we are doing. So I listened very carefully, and I'm glad that he kind of put me in a position where I have to learn by listening. But if my dad tell me what's going on down there, then somebody will say that I've learned all this from my dad. And then they're going to report him, and the BIA is going to come and arrest my father. And later I found that out. But they do it in a way where it kind of made you a real warrior of learning of things, So, I lived that life, and there's a lot of other ceremonies that are well underground, In other words, a lot of people say underground, And they do the worship service, healing service, and things that is needed, and they do it. And there's some very, very strong, holy people that conduct these get-together. And I used to go to them, and I was fascinated, real fascinated about the whole thing, because there's one time I went to a healing ceremony, and the director of the medicine men, first, when the healers arrived, inside it was dark. And each one made a report of how Mother Earth is doing. The grass reports in. The grass says, we are all doing fine. And the animal, maybe the deer, will come in, and he makes a report that all the deers are doing great. Animals of different animals, and trees, and water, all these, they made a report how they are doing.